Hi, my name's Becky and I'm a craftaholic. I've always said that my fatal flaw is I can see anything that requires hands-on work and think, I can do that. Not in a arrogant way of I know I can do it well, because that's not it. It's more that I think I can teach myself to do pretty much anything. And whilst sewing is my main hobby, it's the thing I do most because it's the easiest thing that I have to hand. I've dabbled in other things like card making, pottery painting, but I don't have my own kiln, baking, glass blowing, you name it, I'm interested in it. I want to, two hobbies that I really want to try this year, even though it's July 2024, is bookbinding, thanks to Nerdforge, and also rug tufting. I've been thinking for quite some time about starting a maker's vlog, mostly because I'm getting to the points on certain projects, certain skills, where I'm looking back and I want to do these techniques that I've learned, that I've worked out again, and I can't remember how to do it. Now, I've dabbled in time-lapse form content, or even just taking photos and writing what I've been doing and what I found difficult and all of that on Instagram and on TikTok. But yeah, I'm not very good. I keep forgetting to update, especially if a project is kind of kicking my ass a bit. I don't want to take pictures of it because I'm not proud of it, and actually they're the ones that I really need to take pictures of, because they're the ones where I'm learning most. I've recently moved back to the UK. I've been living in New York for 2 years for my job as a research scientist. And when we were in New York, we lived in a little studio apartment, and I love my husband very much, but it doesn't really conduce a good environment to film when there's someone else in the room. In fact, I did record a couple of things and you can see him in the background being an idiot. So why am I posting it? Because easily I could just record myself and have my own personal vlogging journal type thing. Well, I won't do it. The smallest chance that someone out there is watching this holds me accountable to actually edit it into something that is coherent and not just storing up reams of footage that I will be stored in my phone, never to be looked at again. So this is not just an introductory video. I'm going to be doing something, really starting something today. Like I said, I have a job, so this will be often made up over different evenings and weekends. Today, I'm going to start something that I've been wanting to do for actually a very, very long time. I had the idea when I was in New York. I want a nice looking waterproof. I now live in Cardiff, so it rains here. My priorities shifted though, and it's not just I want it to be cute. My main form of transport at the moment is cycling, and I need to be seen. So the aim is high-vis, but cute. Enough of me chatting. I'm going to get the fabrics out and start cutting them. I don't have a huge fabric stash. I don't have the space for one. Clear plastic. I don't know if this is going to show up at all. But this is retro-reflective material. And when you shine light straight at it, it shines right back. And then the main fabric. And it's cute. I like foxes, so the camera is not showing quite how neon this is. But needless to say, I will be seen. And the pattern that I'm going to be basing it off, because I'm going to do some edits, because I never just follow a pattern, is McCall's, what is it, M6800. This is the petite version. I have literally no idea why I have the petite version, because I am 5'10". But I have the petite version. I suppose it might have been the only one I could find at the time. And actually, it doesn't fit my shoulders to my waist too bad, and you can see it's like a flare style. So I made this version for Queenie, and I made it quite a bit longer. This is the version I'm going to make out of this gorgeous fox fabric. The only thing is, I think it's a detachable hood. I'm going to work out a way that it's actually not detachable, because the point of it is waterproof and I don't need the hood to be detachable. So yeah, I better read the instructions again to remind myself what I'm doing and then cut it out. I've just discovered something I don't like about this pattern. It's actually the reason why people don't like patterns a lot, and that is sizing. I'd like to say that I didn't gain any weight whilst living in the States. I have, and I actually made this coat before I went to the States. In fact, I think it was the last project I made before moving out there. And whilst Queenie, I do it up, I have it open, so that's fine. So I was like, oh, maybe I want a larger size. Also, I was cutting it out, was like, well, I've only going up to size 14. I'll have to cut that and I'll have to work it out later. So I read the back of this, and it doesn't tell you what the final sizes are. What it does tell you, tries to make out that it does, is it tells you the range. So I don't know if you can see this, the final garment measurement, and it just tells you this is the bust size. It tells you the range. It doesn't tell you like what the individual sizes where they actually fall. So I hate that. There's a couple of things that I am doing differently. I'm not lining this, not now. Anyway, the inside of the fox fabric is kind of fleecy, so it's going to feel nice against the skin anyway. And also, I want this to be a summer waterproof. I don't want it to feel hot and heavy. Later, I may make a separate detachable lining, because why make my life easy? And out of like a Sherpa or like some kind of faux fleecy warmness for the winter. Recycling, you warm up, so I don't know if that'll be necessary yet. So don't want to do that right now. I'm unsure whether this is going to be made out of the fox fabric or the clear plastic. Because the reason why I've got the clear plastic is what I hate when you're wearing a hood. Your peripheral is just affected. And like when you're cycling, it's not ideal to not be able to see. So my idea was originally to have the main head of the hood in the fox and then have like a band come around here in the clear plastic. One, to kind of give more of like a peak to like actually cover my glasses when I'm cycling, so that I'm not getting like rain spattered on. But also to allow at least some level of visibility and peripheral vision. However, because the fox is directional, I don't know if I'm going to have enough to cut the hood out of the fox. So I'm absolutely totally okay in cutting the whole hood out of the clear plastic. So here we have all the main body pieces cut out. And then we've got the pile of offcuts here, along with the hood pattern, the pocket pattern, and the collar pattern, because I have some ideas. It's the next day. I have slept on my ideas. I actually attempted to film this last night, but I was so tired that they weren't wording. So yeah, I didn't cut out the hood or the pockets or the collar. And the reason being is they're a little bit contentious in my mind. Like, I want to construct the rest of the jacket first, and actually measure that neckline. Like, this is quite straight. And I don't know if that's normal. I've not sewn many things with hoods, only a couple of things. And actually both were cosplay. One was a hoodie for Harry Potter dragon fighting outfit. So actually there was two hoods on that. The other hood I made was for my husband's Jedi outfit as Obi-Wan Kenobi. But yeah, I need to check and see what shapes those hoods were. And because I'm attaching the hood, it's not going to be detachable. Do I want the collar? And then pockets. I was thinking, this is really pathetic and like tiny. I don't know about you, but what am I fitting in that? Remembering that not all of that, like, you have to take out 5/8 of an inch. And it's like, that's a small pocket. And I was thinking I could just draw a bigger pocket. But then I remembered Charlie over at the Stitchery. She does a princess seam dress out of knits, and it's a McCall's princess seam dress. And she likes to add pockets to that. And how she does that to add stability is she catches the bag side of the pocket into the next princess seam. So instead of just like drawing a bigger version of this, I'm probably going to take my pattern piece and like trace where this is meant to go and take that shape and make it as big as I like, to be fair. And I realised I hadn't actually spoken about my design other than here's bright orange fabric and here's some clear plastic and here's some retro-reflective fabric, which I actually have not mentioned since. Like I said, the point is to be seen and also to be able to see, so hence the clear plastic is to be able to, the main reason is to have that extra visor, if you like, for that added visibility. I only just had enough fabric to cut these pieces out. Like I said, I had the petite version, so in my mind it's like where it lands, it's going to land and that'll be fine. Except it kind of hits me at a point like directly on the knee, so by the time you've hemmed it, it's going to be slightly above, and I really wanted this to cover my knees, so I added 2 inches of length. The sleeves I've actually added 3 inches. That's for a different reason. I don't believe my arms are 3 inches longer than the pattern, but what I would like to do is have them come up to about that knuckle and like have a hole for my thumb to go through, because I hate it like when you're cycling, your arms are stretched out, your sleeves shoot up, and it's like, well, now my wrists are wet and cold. The retro reflective fabric, and you'd often see like these reflective strips on like high-vis, but also I'm thinking of like when we were kids with the Staying Alive hedgehog and the little reflective key rings and stuff we were given to put on our bags, so we were seen crossing the road. Like, I don't want like the grid stripe thing that you get on traditional high-vis, where I want this still to be cute. What I was thinking was making some flat piping to put between all of the seams. I've not made that before. It shouldn't be too difficult. Essentially, you're making bias strips. I don't want to think about placing the piping from the edge, so when I sew it, it's even all the way around. I just want to do it by lining up my edges. So I was like, I'll make my own. One, it's just got to be cheaper, and 2, I can customize that width so I don't have to think about it. You cut it on the bias so it can go around those curves. I also didn't want to do the maths or get the pattern pieces out and like measure how long I would need for the piping, but like give you like an idea, I found like 10 meters was £38, and I'm like, that's a lot for trim. This was obviously nowhere near that. Okay, so I think I've worked out how to show you this. This is the actual reflective slide, and you can see on screen right now that this appears darker. That's because I haven't turned my ring light on. Now if I turn that on, you can see how this is reflecting. So yeah, that's how this works. So I've now done about half of the retro reflective fabric that I have into strips. Do I think I have enough? I don't know. Some of those last strips felt really quite long, but obviously the end ones are really short. So I'm now gonna put what I have together, kind of alternating between long and short, and then maybe start assembling. Last night I did continue sewing, and I'll show you my progress. This is the back. Let's talk pockets. So I've laid out that pattern piece onto the fox fabric and traced it and cut out a pair. However, it's quite thick, and you can see there's quite a bit of a thickness to it. One side of the pockets being this fabric is fine, but if you have both and you've got 3 layers, I have 2 options. One, I could sew it directly to the front piece, or I line the pockets. When it comes to if I do the collar, I can line the collar, and I can also line the hood if I wanted to. Thinking what fabrics I could potentially line with, and I haven't got many. This is leftover from Bellatrix Lestrange costume. I don't really like it for this. This fun fabric, which I actually have a whole suit out of and a dress, because I loved it so much. I ordered a whole bolt. It had to ship in whole bolts, and I was like, I'm not risking no one else going in on with me on this, so I bought 12 meters of it. So I mean, this is all that's left. I've managed to use a considerable amount, and there is orange in there, so I suppose that kind of goes. Or something that doesn't go at all, but is kind of on theme, is this woodland fabric. It's got a little fox on it. The green woodland, I think, is my preference. If it's lining at the end of the day, you shouldn't really see it. It'll be a bit of a glimpse. The other thing I was thinking about was, because it's a waterproof, I want the pockets to be waterproof, and also in coats and stuff, and I'm cycling, I want to be able to close those pockets. The best and easiest way in my mind is to put some sort of flap on it. My brain goes, make the fox face the flap, and you can boot the nose to close it. So my brain is working that one out, as I should start cutting or finish cutting out the pockets, because I've done half of it. So this is your back pocket. This is the one you want at the back. The reason being is when you put your hand in, you're more likely to see this one than you are the lining that's going to be in front. So you have your back pocket, you have your front pocket, and then you have the piece here. So ultimately we're going to catch the whole thing along this edge, but here you still want to get your hand in there, so you've got the lining on this side and this will be attached to the back piece. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the lining piece to these and the back pocket to the back. I then place the two pieces together, lining up the pocket bags and trapping in that retro-reflective piping in between. Okay, so I knew this would happen. The pocket, because of the way it's you sew it with less of a seam allowance on the inside, so that it doesn't show, so you get like a little bit of fold over of fabric and then you put your lining fabric. So that's the idea, that's fine. Because of that, and because I cut the pockets exactly the same width as the bodice piece, they appear too long, which is fine. All we're going to do is smooth it out as best we can, and then trim down this line. Then I think I'll baste it, and then I'm able to treat this just like a regular panel and carry on adding the front pieces. Basically got the main body done. I just need obviously sleeves and a hood. I've done the pockets, little pocket flaps. So yeah, now I'm thinking about how to do it up. The pattern shows buttons, and I was just like, nah, for me that's not waterproof. Like, you're literally putting holes in the garment, not great. So I was like, okay, I'll do snaps. But as I was searching for thread earlier, I found a jacket zip, and it's grey, so it'll kind of toe, but I'm also gonna do the whole jacket thing where you kind of attach the zip inside, and then so you're gonna have the fabric covering it, so you shouldn't see it from the front anyway. And then to hold the flap down, you could do snaps, but I found like the toggle kind of buttons, so I might put toggles on it because I think that will look really cute. I suppose the next thing, sleeves. I might get the zip out. It's coming together. This is going so well. Did I need to add 3 inches to the sleeves? No. But to be honest, where they're ending up, once they're hemmed, I do want to make a thumb hole so that they do actually come to about there on my hand, so that when I'm cycling they don't like ride up. It's not the longest zip, but I'm actually thinking that might be a good length for it to stop. I am going to do the collar. This is what I meant by the toggles, by the way. So these toggle buttons, I just need shoelace or cord or something to actually make the toggle fastenings. If you don't know what that is, think Paddington Bear. Don't think I need to buy fastenings. I think I can make do with what I've got. But it's late, and you can probably tell by the light. So that's where we're leaving it for tonight. I cut the hood pieces out of the biggest scraps, as well as a rectangular facing about 3 inches wide, using my book collection to weigh down the pattern pieces because, have I mentioned, this fabric hates pins. I then line up the zip in the correct place and clip into place. This took some mental gymnastics because of that flap I was incorporating, but we got there in the end. Women's garments traditionally close right over left, and so the left side was quite simple, where I was just trapping that zip between the coat front and the facing that I'd just cut out, whereas the right side I had to set that zip back on the other edge of that facing. I finished the hem by doing a single turn and top stitching. I then put the darts in the hood, attached the two pieces together. I then decided to split that centre seam and top stitch down for a more professional look. Yesterday, my lighting setup decided to attack me. It's nothing special. It's just my ring light up here, but it was actually attached to the window. And so this is just a bit easier that I can hold you right now. So I've done the hood. The start, the hood is huge. It's way too big. You know what? This is great if you normally want to keep the rain off. But it's very long, and I suppose it's because that's detachable, because it isn't attaching at the at the collar. It's attaching below, so I need to cut quite a bit off the bottom. This would be great, but like I said about the peripheral, so I'm going to cut some of this away, and then essentially reattach it, I suppose, with the clear plastic, which has kind of saved my bacon a bit, because this fabric, I'm actually using a jeans needle. I'm not sure that's the correct needle for this, but it was better than the universal one I had, and at the time I wanted to start sewing, it's the only needle I could find, but it does bruise. There you go, you can see almost like a white line going down. Yeah, that was not meant to be there. I kind of caught that as I was top stitching the centre seam. Yeah, so I'm going to repeat that exactly, I think, but with the lining fabric, and then I'm going to use the lining to actually cut away and work out how long it needs to be, how much to cut off the front. Not wanting to waste any fabric, I actually squeezed the hood pattern and the collar pattern onto this offcut of the woodland fabric. I then popped my hair up to try on the hood and measure how much I wanted to take off using the classic pinch and hold method. Finally, I transferred those measurements onto the outer hood, and then it was time to think about the visor. I've got the hood sitting how I want it, which is great. And so now I'm unrolling the plastic. I've only tried it in a lump before, because I've never actually unrolled it. It is really thin by the time you get to one layer. Oh my god, it's so staticky! I lined up the hood on the edge to create that approximate shape that I wanted for the visor, and then made an inside-out sandwich with the two hood pieces trapping both new visor and the piping. To make life easier, I first attached the hood to the neckline, and then I added the collar just along that outer edge and finished it off by hand slip stitching down the lining. I decided to add cuffs so I could have them folded up whilst walking around, but then folded down to protect my wrists while cycling, and oh my goodness, watch how the orange thread nearly runs out. I won, thread chicken. Do you ever just hit that wall in a project where you're everything's been going really, really well, and then suddenly it stops, and then you find it really hard to get back into it? That's kind of happened here. It's actually not that big of a delay. I started this project last Monday. It's now Friday, and on Sunday I got as far as you see behind. So I haven't worked on this for 4 days. It's not the biggest break. The main reason is the only thing left to do is toggles. I was thinking about doing half a fox face either side to be the toggle anchors. But when I was thinking about it, cut these out and had a look, I was just a bit busy drawing from the design of the print. There are these like black triangles. I thought, okay, I'll get black leather and I'll make little black leather triangles. So I had to order that. So that got ordered on Sunday. It actually arrived on Wednesday, but I wasn't expecting it until yesterday. So when it arrived, my brain was like, but you're not sewing tonight. Like, I'd already planned, even though like nothing is really set in stone. And then last night I had my first curl by curl haircut, which is the first haircut I've had since October. What I'm doing right now is I'm hand stitching, quite stiff, so I would need my thimble out, the shoelace that I've cut into lengths with the toggle on. I've done 4, well this is my 4th so far, and then I've got to do the loops, and it's not really interesting, and I'm really having to be like, come on, last step, you do this, and then you're done. I think every project you hit a point where you're enjoying it, don't get me wrong, it's fun, and I love creating and I love making, but when the last step is fiddly, or when you've had to pause, even if it is for just 48 hours or whatever, you can lose that momentum. It can be quite a task to get your brain to go back and get into it. Part of the issue I have is when I was pausing, when I couldn't do anything, my brain was going, okay, what's next? What are we doing after this once you've done this? I actually sat down on Monday and wrote a list of what projects I wanted to do. I was a bit more planned and was like, okay, so you want this for Halloween. When are you going to sew it? Because I don't have oodles of extra cash, so I can't just go out and buy all these things that I want to make these projects that I have on my list. Actually having to budget them in. But yeah, I need to plan when I'm going to order things, in what order. Is there any lead time on some of those fabrics? As you know, I've got this one printed to order. So my brain's gone and basically planned the rest of the year's projects. And I'm excited to do them. It's reluctant to finish this one, even though at the same time, I hate pausing a project to do another one. I have to have projects finished before I move on. This isn't this interesting, so I'm gonna stop this. You can come back when I've finished. So that concludes my first makers vlog. I'm so happy with how it turned out. It's exactly what I wanted, though in the nicest way possible. I hope I don't have to wear it too soon. It is summer after all. But if you've enjoyed watching, come around again and hobby along with me. Bye! Don't tell the dentist that I use my teeth.
That was a mistake.